Reported exports declined 0.3% from a year earlier to $298.4 billion. That's down from September's 5.7% growth. Imports fell 0.7% to $213.4 billion, compared with the previous month's 0.3% expansion. Forecasters expected Chinese trade to weaken as global demand cooled following interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve and other central banks to rein in surging inflation.
And that's correspondent Jeremy House. Powerful, shallow underwater earthquake has struck near Tonga in the South Pacific. It prompted authorities to issue and later lift a tsunami advisory, a magnitude 7.3 earthquake. More details, srnnews.com.
The following program is sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Get ready with your legal questions and call Patrick now. 877-943-9673. Again, that's 877-943-9673. The law office is open. And now your host, Patrick Smith.
Oh, hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith, and you're with us for the next hour. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. We're with you here to answer your legal questions today. The law office is open. Give us a call now. We'll be happy to help any way that we can. And again, your toll-free line to reach us this morning and get your help to your legal question, 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Open studio lines. We got Brian, the call screener, ready to screen your calls, get you on the air with me so that we can give you the help that you need. And as always, you're also welcome to email your questions directly to me, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com, or submit your email questions directly through the website, attorneypatricksmith.com. So this is our Veterans Day edition of the show. Very happy belated Veterans Day to all of our veterans who served this great nation of ours and have served our great nation. So it was yesterday was the actual Veterans Day, but we'll celebrate all weekend long. They deserve it. They've defended our nation and kept us safe and preserved our wonderful liberties we have in this great United States of ours, including the one we're exercising right now, the freedom of speech. So call in and be part of that. And if you want to call in and express your gratitude to a veteran or about a veteran, honor a veteran, you can call in today as well. In addition to your legal questions, we want to encourage you to call in to honor a member of the armed services that you know or want to pay tribute to. So you can also call in for that. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. I'll start with a very special thank you to my dad, who served our great nation with the 127 Wolfhounds of the 25th Infantry in 1969, 1970 in Vietnam, and was one of the fortunate ones and came home safely. So, Dad, thank you for your service. I love you, and I'm proud to be your son, and I'm proud of your service to our nation. So if you want to call in and honor a veteran as well, you're also welcome to do that in addition to calling in with your legal questions. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673, or you can email your question, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. And we want to also talk about the election. So we had the election this past week, and well, we had part of an election this last week. I guess they're still counting in certain states, but Florida's election is wrapped up for the most part. And last week we brought to you a kind of mini analysis, a laymanized version of the 3 amendments that were proposed to the Florida state constitution. The amendment 1 was regarding allowing improvements to be made to property for flood resistance, basically, and not having that affect your property values. In other words, if you make an improvement to the property that's designed for flood resistance, that couldn't allow your property taxes to be reevaluated and go up, therefore, because of the improvement. This amendment failed. It only had a 42.7%. 42% against, which means it fell short of the required 60% for passage in the state of Florida. Amendment 2, the amendment to abolish The Constitutional Revision Commission also failed. And Amendment 3, the amendment to give additional homestead protection to certain public workers, an additional $50,000 exemption for public workers on their homestead property. That amendment also failed. Also, all fail short of the 60% vote required for passage. So all amendments failing in the Sunshine State as well. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local. Happy to help any way we can. 877-943-9673. Encourage you to call in now. And you can email your questions again, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. And a lot of people messaging us about the website, about how they can watch the show or listen to the prior broadcast directly through the website. So again, you just go to attorneypatricksmith.com. There is a radio link there if you scroll down on the homepage, and you can listen to all of our prior broadcast. I know we had some people reach out interested in our prior broadcast we did on Airbnbs and the controversy brewing over that. So you can go back and listen to all of our broadcasts at attorneypatricksmith.com. But we want to talk to you today. So 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local. Happy to help any way we can. Call in with your legal question or call in to honor a veteran. So either way, you're welcome to call in and ask a legal question or honor a veteran that you know. I've got some thank yous we want to give out today. Very special thank you, first of all, to all the residents of Kings Ridge out in Claremont who attended a wonderful seminar we did. We had a packed house there in the Monte Carlo room last Friday. So thank you for all those of you who came out. Great Q&A. Anytime I do public speaking, I always look forward to the questions and answers. I know what I'm going to say, but I'm curious to hear what's on the minds of the people. And when people start asking questions, I get a chance to learn from the citizens of the state of Florida as far as what's going on, what are their concerns. And so far as I can tell by the questions I got from that seminar, it's a lot of concerns about identity theft. A lot of people right now are very concerned about having their identities protected. And I don't know if it's because of some privacy breaches that have happened recently and made their way into the news, but a lot of people concerned about actively making sure that they are protecting their identities. And there are some obvious measures you can take. I mean, you don't want to share information over the internet that's confidential and, sensitive. Obviously, you don't want to share things like social security numbers or credit cards if it's not on a secure site. So there are obvious things you can do to take measure to protect your identity, but that is definitely one of the sort of key issues based on my reconnaissance of the question and answer, at least during the session at Kings Ridge last Friday. So a very special thank you to all the residents of Kings Ridge and also here locally. Thank you to all the members of Indian Rocks Baptist Church who turned out last Wednesday night for our Wednesday night a week ago for our presentation there. A very special thank you to Pastor Ray Rodriguez who invited us out for that presentation. So again, a great night and a great presentation, and always love speaking at Indian Rocks Baptist. So if you have a club, group, or organization that needs a speaker, you can reach out to us directly. You can email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com, or you can call me at the office, and the staff there will be happy to get us scheduled to come out and speak to your club or group. 877-754-6764. 877-467. Schedule a free consultation with me, yours truly. 877-46764. But to talk to us today, 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Call in with your legal question or to honor a veteran. And not to let it fall off our radar, but we did have Hurricane Nicole come through this last week. So call in if you're just trying to report in on how you're doing. Was it worse than Ian? I know that some areas are saying that even though it was only a Category 1, it was worse than the Hurricane Ian effect that they had that came through. And don't forget about everyone in South Florida. I know it's easy in the news cycle to lose track of all of the victims of Hurricane Ian and kind of the suffering that they're going through. And it's one of those things where, once it's out of the news, it's sort of out of our minds. But let's not forget to think about, pray for, and support these folks down in South Florida who are continuing build. So call in with your Hurricane Ian update or your Hurricane Nicole story about that terrible storm coming through, and thankfully not doing any more damage than it did. But we'd love to talk to you. 877-943-9673 or email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. All right, let's go to Rob in Port Charlotte. Rob, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hi, Patrick. Good morning.
Hey, Rob.
I had a question regarding damage on Hurricane Ian.
Go right ahead.
What steps should we take? Should we get a private adjuster first or a lawyer regarding maximum value from the insurance company?
Well, I always recommend starting with your homeowner's insurance and just calling in a claim, and then they will send out an adjuster to give you an appraisal. And have you discovered yet, Rob, what your hurricane deductible is under your policy and the fact that that's different than your regular deductible?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people don't connect those dots. They think the standard deductible is the one that applies, but the hurricane deductible is calculated a little bit differently. I think you start there. I think reaching out to an attorney initially may be a little premature, because a lot of times the insurance companies will, pay the claim that's submitted, and there's no need to sort of engage an attorney. However, I think that if you get, an adjuster that you think is giving a disproportionately low claim, maybe get an independent adjuster. And if you sort of reach that impasse, maybe reach out to an attorney to assist you with the claim if it's not going as smoothly, or they're putting up resistance to what you believe is a valid claim on a fairly well-adjusted damage.
So the independent adjuster, you still need a lawyer. They don't do all that for you.
Well, I think that if it gets to the point where you're in a dispute with your insurance company, I would always recommend hiring an attorney. And the attorney is going to be the one there that you brought in, who is specifically there to watch out for your best interest. And the insurance attorneys will guide you to, getting a good independent adjuster if you need that analysis, depending on what the dispute is. But I think you start sort of not setting up for an adversarial interaction with your insurance company. And I mean, for instance, when we, back when Irma came through and we had to submit an insurance claim for our former home, the insurance company couldn't have been better. I mean, we called up, submitted the claim, adjuster came out, wrote a quote for the damage. The repair was done. I think the whole thing took less than 6 weeks. So a lot of times that's the story. Now, you're right. Not every claim goes as smoothly. And I think at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where you have to take it case by case. But I think if you're not getting the result you want, reach out to an attorney and at least get an opinion. I don't think you'll ever regret that, Rob. So if you're having those kinds of concerns in your claims process, and it sounds like you are, just reach out to me during the work week, and I will put you in touch with an attorney who can assist you with that.
All right, Patrick. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome, Rob. Thanks for calling in. All right, you're listening to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. That's your toll-free number to be part of our show today. And again, today, our Veterans edition of the show, so you can call in with your legal questions. You're also welcome to call in to honor a veteran. So if you have a veteran in your family, friends, or just maybe a neighbor and you just want to call in and let them know that you honor and appreciate their service to our great nation, now's your opportunity to do so. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Or you can email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. But it's always more fun to talk to you live on the air, just like we did for Rob in Port Charlotte with his insurance claims question. So if you want to be part of the show, 877-943-9673. We'd love to hear from you. So we're still booking new appointments. So for the Sarasota office location, where I'll be on Tuesday, for Sun City Center, for Claremont or Clearwater, any of our office locations, you can always call one toll-free number to set up your complimentary consultation, 877-754-6764, 877-754-6764. That's to schedule your complimentary consultation with me at any of our office locations, 877-754-6764. People always want me to give out that number 2 or 3 times so they can write it down. And if you didn't get it, you can always visit the website, attorneypatricksmith.com, And then once you're there, you can submit your request for an appointment directly to us through the website. To talk to us today, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. So speaking of meeting with people and kind of getting a sense of what's on their minds through their questions, another big topic that is brewing out there is the difference between a will and a trust. I'm consistently seeing this question come up over and over again. And a lot of people coming in and they think that because they did a will that laid out who the personal representative is going to be and who the beneficiaries are going to be, that means the estate is going to bypass a process known as probate. And it's not the case. So assets that are administered under a will pass through a process known as probate. Now, probate is 3 tiers in Florida. There's a very small administrative process called a disposition without administration when the assets are less than $6,000 in nature. If you're over that, but under $75,000, it's what we call a summary probate administration. If you're over $75,000, it's a formal probate. But this is what a will lead to. And if it's that formal probate, if it's outside of any exemptions in excess of $75,000, it could take as long as 6 to 14 months and cost anywhere from 3 to 10% to administer that particular estate. So people say, well, how do I avoid that? Well, to understand how to avoid probate, we have to understand what it is, first of all. So probate is the court-supervised transfer of assets from a deceased person's name to the appropriate beneficiary. So the way to avoid it is to make sure that when you pass, nothing's in the name of a deceased person. And you see people all the time try to do a quick end around to achieve this goal. They'll do things like putting a child's name on all the bank accounts or on their real property, things like that. But that doesn't necessarily avoid probate. And in addition to that, it can expose the person to gift taxes by adding the person's name. And it certainly can expose them to that additional party's liabilities. If they've been added to that property and they get sued for some reason, then that exposes that asset to that person's liability. So there are far better ways to achieve that goal of not having the asset be in the decedent's name when they pass away. And the most common example of that is the living trust. And indeed, this is why they call the trust a living trust. It's so when you pass away, nothing's in the name of a deceased person. It's in this living entity, your trust that you've created, so that it bypasses the probate process. So the trust, the revocable trust, which is the most common type of trust we see in modern estate planning, the living revocable trust, is basically a safe where you can put assets in, take assets out, and do sort of whatever you want with it because it's fully revocable. But upon your passing, everything in this living trust is going to your living beneficiaries and therefore will avoid probate. So that's how the living trust avoids the probate process. And there's some additional benefits to trust besides avoiding probate. But if you have a question about that, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. You can call in now, live and local open phone lines. We'll get you and your question right on the air. You can call in with your legal question or to honor a veteran, 877-943-9673, or email me, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. Again, that email address, you can email us 24/7. And yes, I do check those emails. So Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. Encourage you to email us your questions throughout the week, email during the show. We try as best we can to answer them live on the air. And we always prefer to talk to you live over the air. So 877-943, that's your number to talk to us. 877-943-9673, our toll-free number to be part of the show today. And by the way, on the website, there's additional information about all of the office locations, and we are just doing our final round of edits on the website. So we want to encourage as many of you as possible, go and check out attorneypatricksmith.com. If you have feedback for us on that, let us know. Call in or call into the office, email in your thoughts, concerns, things you think would be better or more improved for you, the customer out there, as far as using the site. So feel free to reach out through the website, attorneypatricksmith.com, with your thoughts, with your feedback on how we can improve it for you. That's why we do it. So attorneypatricksmith.com, check it out. Let us know your thoughts. All right, next let's go to St. Pete. Let's talk to Tony. Tony, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Happy to do it, Tony. How can I help?
So I am probating in the state, and it has two minors, and we determined that what is supposed to go to them is below the threshold in Florida for a guardian. And my question is, my state lawyer is requesting that a lawyer here in Florida basically type a letter that explains the Florida law. And I want to know, how common is that?
Well, I think that the first issue to sort out, Tony, is you're currently represented by counsel, correct?
That's correct.
What state is the current probate action in?
The probate is in New York.
Okay. So you have a probate action in New York, but there's obviously some sort of Florida connection. Are the minors residents of the state of Florida?
Yes, they are.
And so what I hear you saying is that the amount at issue must be beneath the threshold, which I think off the top of my head is like $15,000.
That's correct.
For a minor to establish a guardianship. So you're going to be looking to do something that would avoid that. It sounds to me like that's what they're asking for in New York, is for you to hire local counsel to basically say, under Florida law, no guardianship is necessary. And here's what can be done as far as transferring the money to an account for the benefit of the minor until they reach the age of majority.
What they discovered that it goes to the guardian of the children. So I know it sounds using the word guardian over and over again, but
I just think the easiest thing to do, if you want our help, have your attorney in New York reach out to our office during the week, and we can talk shop a little bit about how to connect the dots to make all this go as seamlessly as possible for these minor children. So these minor children lost a parent, is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm so sorry, Tony. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
So I just was wondering, how common is it for, not even just for the estate stuff, but for a lawyer to need another lawyer from another state to
between states all the time, especially if there's different connections. And that's a great point, Tony. So when we're talking about probate, that's presuming the only assets are all Florida based. If someone dies and they own assets in Florida and New York, or Florida and North Carolina, you can actually wind up doing probate in multiple states: the primary administration in the state of residency, and then the ancillary administration where the other properties are located.
Too. Yeah, I'm doing ancillary too, also.
Wow.
In another state.
Well, if you don't have Florida counsel currently and you're interested in that, just have one of your existing counsel reach out to me. That would be most appropriate, since technically you're represented by the counsel, and I'll be happy to liaise with them, and we can get everything squared away as best as possible for those minors. And again, Tony, we'll say a prayer for all you guys.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate the information.
Thank you, Tony. Have a great Saturday. All right. You're listening to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. Tony hanging up opens up a line, so give us a call. You can hop right on, and they're queuing it up now. So 877-943-9673. All right. Next, let's go to Ron in Parrish. Ron, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hello. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm great, Ron. How can we help you today?
Well, you've educated me on not doing a will. Definitely want to do a living trust. And my question is, I want to leave the most important thing, my home, to my daughter. Then I want to leave the most second and third important things would be Edward Jones stock to one granddaughter, and my bank account and savings account to another granddaughter. Do I wrap that all up in one living trust, or do I do like three separate living trusts?
I think most commonly you would do one trust for all of that, although I do see situations where parents will split it between three trusts. But Ron, it doesn't sound like that's necessarily your situation. Let me just sort of walk you through it. So in a situation where it's a nice, loving family and you're bequesting things to certain people, you just sort of do it in one trust, and 20% to this person, 10% to this person, 30% over here, whatever. But it's all within one trust, so they will all see through the accounting and the trust document what everybody else was receiving. And in a nice, loving family situation, that may not be a big deal, but not every family is so nice and loving. So at the end of the day, if it's a situation where the decedent wants to ensure that when they've passed, A will never see what B got, and vice versa, now they can create these separate trusts and fund them accordingly. And by operation of the separation between the trust, it sort of isolates each beneficiary of that trust to only having the knowledge of that particular corpus as to their trust. In other words, they would never get to see what's in the other trust. So if that's not your situation, Ron, you could probably do it all in one. When you mention leaving money directly to grandchildren, these are grandchildren with a living parent. The child that the birth of these grandchildren is still living, correct?
No, two grandchildren's mother and father are gone, and one grandchild is with my daughter living with us. That's who's going to basically get the house.
So for the grandchild that is living, that is receiving something and has a living parent, your living child, there's a potential what we call generation skipping transfer tax, although it's extremely remote because of the high exemptions. For the ones where the parent has passed and you're leaving money to that grandchild, there's something called the predeceased ancestor rule that will eliminate that generation skipping transfer tax. So I think when you sit down with an attorney, and if it's us, we'll certainly walk you through it, Ron, about keeping an eye to that, just to make sure that there's not going to be any eventuality of paying that GST tax.
Okay, last question. Have I messed anything up, complicated anything, or made things better by making everybody beneficiaries in the way that I would do the living trust? The beneficiary for the house is my daughter. Beneficiary for bank accounts is one granddaughter. Another account is another granddaughter. Have I simplified or can I not rely on that at all?
I think you've made things better. I think it's it's better than not having something. I mean, you don't have a trust in place. And so the goal here, when I sit down with any client for an estate plan consultation, Ron, the goal is not just better, the goal is best. How do we achieve optimization? So when you put an account beneficiary to someone, you can potentially avoid probate. It's not guaranteed you're going to avoid probate because that beneficiary on that account may die before you or die with you, and then the account goes through probate. But the other thing we're not avoiding is what we call incapacity planning. So if you have a beneficiary account and you lose competency, does that beneficiary get access to the account to protect it for you from aggressive creditors like nursing homes and things of that nature? No, they don't get access until you actually die. So there's this sort of gap or window where no one has access to that money because you're incompetent and the beneficiary doesn't get to touch it until you've actually died. I think that's where the trust makes it best. So not that what you did was bad, it definitely improved things. But I think if you want to have the best plan in place for your family, it sounds like setting up the trust may be the optimal model, because not only is it going to guarantee we avoid probate, we have the assets in the trust, they avoid probate. And then if one of the beneficiaries passes away, we will have contingent beneficiaries listed in the trust to basically walk them through who would get it if A dies, if B dies. And then we'll also have a plan in the trust to say, here's who gets what if I become incapacitated, which, spoiler alert, nothing's going to pay to anyone other than you if you're incapacitated. The trustee will monitor the money and make sure that it's preserved for you and your care. So I don't think you did anything wrong. I don't think you made anything worse, but I think you could take a lot of steps to make things the best they could be for your family.
Well, I do want to do the living trust, and I may want to do it through you. Do I use this same phone number, say, a month or two from now to work on this? Or how do I get a hold of you or your corporation?
Yeah, so the office line is 877-754-6764. Again, that's a toll-free number throughout the state, 877-754-6764. And the staff there will be happy to get you scheduled a consultation with me at the office location nearest you.
Okay, and I don't know if you want me to say this, but I wanted to say something about probate, and it would be something negative. Do you want me to go ahead and say it?
As long as you're not mentioning a particular person and you're speaking just to probate itself, and your language is very PG, we're good, Ron.
Okay, no, it's actually from the state of Oregon when I lived there. I now live in Florida. My probate with my mother was go ahead. My probate with my mom's estate was 4 times more money than I was quoted in the beginning, and took 4 times longer. Well, 6 months of predicted into almost 2 years, and from $3,500 to $12,500. I did not like the way it went.
Wow. And that's the thing about probate, Ron. It's extremely unpredictable. And sometimes contests break out in the middle of a probate. A creditor may sue the estate. Disgruntled beneficiaries may sue the estate. Yeah. Anything can happen. And you can, with an ounce of prevention, it's worth a pound of cure. And a lot of times by setting up things like simple living revocable trust, because, a lot of people think that you have to have millions and millions of dollars to justify a trust. And there are certain types of trusts that only make sense for those size of estates. But a lot of smaller estates can really benefit from these simple trusts by bypassing the probate process. And Ron, that's really what you're speaking to. So I appreciate the comment.
Okay, and there was no protesting or anything going on. Let's just say the attorney became really thorough at everything he did before we got done.
Well,
that's all.
Well, Ron, hopefully you'll save your family that experience by getting a trust in place, and then you'll bypass that probate process altogether. Okay.
Well, yes, and something that gets drug out is very distressful when you think something's going to be done in 6 months and it takes 2 years and you keep wondering all the time. But
well,
anyway,
because it's about
I'm a real talkative person, but thank you.
It's about closure. I mean, at the end of the day, you're wanting to move on with your life, and when this is sort of lingering, it sort of forbids that or prevents it. But Ron, you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you're listening to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Ron opens up a phone line, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local and happy to help any way we can. 877-943-9673, or email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. All right, let's go talk to Chuck in Tampa. Chuck, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Well, thank you. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm great, Chuck. Thanks for asking. How are you doing today?
Good. Listen, I got hopefully a simple question. I own a house free and clear. If I put it into a living trust for my son, how does that affect my ability to collect homestead exemption? Since it's no longer my name.
It doesn't, as long as it's done properly. So this was the mistake that I see sometimes is when people treat homestead property in Florida like it's any other piece of real estate. And homestead in Florida is sacred. It is sacred because of certain statutory protections under Section 196 regarding ad valorem property taxes. And indeed, that was what we were talking about at the start of the show, Amendment 3 getting voted down, falling short of the 60% required to give an additional $50,000 exemption to certain public workers. But there's additional protections that make homestead so protection in Florida because of our state constitution that exempts it from creditor claims. So long as you treat the property as homestead in the conveying deed and the trust receiving it receives it as a homestead property with the requisite language, all homestead exemptions remain undisrupted and continue. So there's no disruption in the homestead if it's done properly. Now, where it can be bungled is if you treat the homestead conveyance as if it's any other piece of real property and don't give it the appropriate acknowledgement as homestead.
Okay, should I put while I'm still alive, should I put his name on the deed?
I think if you want roses and from the IRS along with a thank you note, yeah, do that, because I think that's going to be interpreted as a gift. If you just put his name on the deed and he didn't put any consideration into that and you're just gifting him that value, I think they're going to interpret that as a gift. I think it's probably going to take away some of his capital gains basis adjustment. And if is your son married?
No.
Okay. Well, if he had some sort of asset or liability generating event like an auto accident or a bankruptcy and he gets sued and his name is on that property, that potentially exposes that property to his liabilities. So I think the trust would be a far more efficient strategy to bypass any exposure to potential gift taxes, to bypass any potential exposure to your son's liabilities and achieve your goal of leaving him the property. And oh, by the way, that would also preserve his step up under the capital gains analysis.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome, Chuck. I appreciate your call. Have a great Saturday.
You too, buddy.
All righty. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Elizabeth in Land O' Lakes. Elizabeth, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and thank you for your patience.
Oh, thank you, Patrick. God bless you for that.
Oh. How can we help Elizabeth today?
Question. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. What was that?
I said, how can we help you?
Okay. I'm concerned about identity theft, and I've got a condo I'm getting ready to pay off in just a few months. And my sister, who's in real estate, said, you should really put it in a trust, right? So set it up that way, and that should help protect it. And then get in touch with the county, and they will contact you if somebody tries to do anything on your property at all. Because I really don't want to pay these companies that are out there that says, oh, here's what's going to happen, and if you don't have this, or, pay us X amount per month, and somebody could just, steal your identity and rack up all kinds of bills on your, against your condo. And I would owe the money, and I might get kicked out of my condo. I mean, they have all these fear factors that they put in on their commercials, and I can appreciate, what you're telling us about these different types of title protection. Is that what living trusts are? Does that protect your title?
So the trust by operation is not designed to provide any title protection. Now, it can sort of on the periphery, but that's not by the design, and it's in certain circumstances where you have a situation that involves a child serving as a current co-trustee alongside of a parent, or some other person serving as a current co-trustee. I think that can add some additional protection, but not typically. The trust by operation, the simple living revocable trust, is designed primarily for probate avoidance upon your death, for an incapacity plan upon your incapacity, and to provide privacy, keeping things off the public record. So I think by operation of all those things, it can provide some protection. But like I said, it's sort of an unintended side effect. It's not sort of the design of the trust, if that makes any sense, Elizabeth.
It does. That makes perfect sense.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we appreciate you calling in, Elizabeth.
Well, thank you. Can I ask you one more question?
Sure. Go right ahead.
What do you think about buying into identity theft protection?
I don't know if you heard at the top of the show, but I was talking about my presentation at Kings Ridge and the Q&A, and this being sort of the forefront of the questions out there, are fears over identities getting stolen. I think that every person has to make this decision for themselves. And I think it's a conversation you have really with your attorney. I think you have that conversation in addition to that with your financial advisor. And I think beyond that, you have the conversation with your accountant. And it's really sort of the conversation with those three parties that will help you understand what exposure, if any, you have, where you're vulnerable, and then how you can take steps to preserve your identity. I think that simply throwing money at a problem and, hiring a company to provide identity theft protection may be, not always, but can be potentially a false sense of security. I think it has to be a little more intimate. I think it has to be a little more customized, designed to your identity protection as opposed to some form of identity protection. And I think that requires you engaging with those three professionals in your life to realize where you're most vulnerable and then putting up the best defenses to that vulnerability.
Okay, and if I contact the county, I understand that they will contact me if there's any activity on my title at all.
Well, if the county's providing that service, because you're up in Pasco, correct?
I am.
Yeah, I think take advantage of that. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you so
Elizabeth.
much.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. All righty, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. Let's go to Ted in Sun City Center. Ted, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Yes, sir, Patrick. I've got a situation here where my wife passed away about 3 years ago.
Oh, Ted, I'm sorry to hear about your wife. How long were you married?
9 years.
Wow.
And so fast forward 3 years, and I'm getting ready to sell the house. and I realized her name was still on the deed to the house, and I need to take her name off of it. I contacted the county courthouse and spoke with an individual there that said, just go to Office Depot or Staples and get one of their pre-packaged quit claim deeds, fill in the blanks, and mail it in. Does that sound appropriate?
If the county worker told you how to do your own surgery, do you think you would take their advice?
No.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I think that that's the dangerous thing there is when you try to do things on your own, sometimes you can make things a lot worse, and it's worth at least. Have you consulted an attorney, Ted?
No, I haven't. Not at this point.
I've got an office right there in Sun City. I'm happy to meet with you, or just find a qualified attorney to sit down with. Odds are, Ted, everything's fine, and you may not need to do anything at all. If you said yours and your wife's name are on the deed to this property, and it says your Ted and his wife, husband and wife, does it say that on the deed? Do you have the actual deed?
I don't have the actual deed. There's still a mortgage on the property. But I've seen the county records that indicate her name is on the deed.
So I think that here's where you start. Get an attorney, set a consultation. If you want to meet with me free of charge, we'll sit down with you, go over it. We'll pull the deed, see how it reads. If it says Ted and his wife, husband and wife, that means when she passed, her interest in the property ceased. So you, with her death certificate, are armed with everything you need to sell that property subject to the mortgage. So you may not need to file anything other than a death certificate. But Ted, I can't tell you that and confirm 100% until I look at the deed with you. So you call the office, make an appointment in Sun City. I'll sit down with you, go over that, pull the deed from public record, and just confirm what exactly it is.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, Ted. After we hang up, I'll give out that office line if you want to grab a pen and paper, okay?
Okay. I'll be waiting.
All righty, Ted. Have a great day, okay? And I'm sorry about your wife. We'll say a prayer for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Ted. All righty. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local. Happy to help any way that we can. The office line to schedule your consultation in any of our office locations down in Sun City Center, Sarasota, Clearwater, any of the offices. You can call and schedule by dialing 877-754-6764. Again, 877-754-6764, or just request your appointment through attorneypatricksmith.com. Next, we're going to go to Lamar in Seminole. Lamar, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey, Patrick, how are you?
I'm great, Lamar. How can we help?
I have a question. Me and my sister, both in our 60s, neither one of us are married. She lives in Georgia. And we're talking about doing a trust to where something happens to one of us, the other one will inherit the assets, the home, the car, bank accounts, investments, and vice versa. Can we do a trust that'll work in two states, or does it have to be more complicated?
You can. There's reciprocity between the states as far as, a Florida trust would be honored in Alabama, Georgia, or wherever, and vice versa. At the end of the day, though, I think it's going to be anchored, the situs of the trust, so to speak, the law that governs it will be anchored by your residency. So are you and sister both residents of Florida, or do you kind of have split residency? One of you is resident of Georgia, the other was resident of Florida.
Correct. She lives in Georgia. I live in Florida.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to do your own individual trust then. You probably can't do one trust together. Then I think that might be a bit of an issue to have a Georgia resident with a trust situs in Florida and vice versa. I think at the end of the day, probably best for you to do your own trust, her to do her own trust, and then you can do a split. So you can split the assets between the two trusts. That's not a problem.
Oh, okay. So if I set up a trust, then I can have
put your half of the Florida property, your half of the Georgia property in your trust. She can set up her Georgia trust and put her halves of the property or whatever the two of you are making arrangements for. So,
well, we're just trying to make arrangements to avoid probate.
Well, so this will do it, at least on the Florida side, and then Georgia counsel can speak to the Georgia side, but I think that's the path you're headed down.
Okay.
All right, Lamar, any other questions?
That'll do it.
All right, Lamar, have a great Saturday. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local. Let's go to my hometown, Indian Rocks Beach. Well, my current hometown, Indian Rocks Beach. And let's talk to John. John, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey, Patrick. How you doing?
I'm great, John. How can I help?
Good question for you. So I've set up a trust for my children with about 50% of our wealth to take advantage of a GRAT program before that dissolves and goes away. My question is, we're trying to buy another house and wanted to see, is it possible to borrow against the trust that I am trustee for to use for a down payment on the house and then repay it back? Is there any penalties or consequences or any kind of dicey situation somebody could get into in that?
Yeah, it's all going to be laid out in the particular trust. Now, when you said a GRAT, I guarantee you 99% of our listenership has no clue. So, John, just give me a moment. A GRAT is a grantor retained annuity trust where you're going to basically put some assets in there. They're going to appreciate and they're going to pay you back an income stream. And then they pay a big, basically, dividend to a beneficiary that you designated. So your question is, this money that you funded into the GRAT, can I borrow against it so that I can acquire additional trust assets? Is that correct?
Personally, we'll buy a family home with it. And then when the other house sells, because we weren't contingent on the sale of one house to buy the other.
So
kind of putting the cart in front of the horse.
So if you look at the actual GRAT, the actual grantor retained annuity trust, if you look at that, it's going to lay out particular terms and provisions as far as what the grantor can and cannot do with the trust corpus. I think you just have to do a detailed walkthrough of that, either on your own or with your attorney, and that'll answer your question as to whether or not you have the right to borrow against that trust corpus.
Okay.
All right, John, but great question. Absolutely fantastic question. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yes, sir. All righty, 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number, 877-943-9673. Let's go to Joel in Bradenton. Joel, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hi, Patrick.
Hey, Joel.
I talked to you a couple weeks ago about I went to get my voter ID registered to vote, and they jerked my license from me.
Yes. What was the outcome with that, Joel?
Exactly what you said. That I didn't pay my insurance premium.
So you got you paid your premium and you got your license back, correct?
Yes.
All right.
But
well, that's great news,
it was
Joel.
costly. I mean, it is great news, but I think there's a warning that people should know about that. Just because you're like laid up with a busted knee and you're not going to get off your couch for 4 months, you have to keep paying even though you're not driving.
Yeah, unfortunately, the world isn't sympathetic to those situations, and those bills still have to get paid. That's the harshness of the real world sometimes, Joel. And I'm sorry it bit you, but I'm glad you figured it out, and I'm glad you bounced back. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate that, Joel.
Could I say hi to my father, Richard Snyder, who served from 62 to 72, and my son, Colin, who's currently serving up in Fort Bragg.
Well, thank you for their service, and thanks for calling in, Joel.
Yes, sir.
All righty. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. So our Gators prediction for this weekend, the Gators will be taking on South Carolina, and I'm fairly confident the Gators should win this one. It always depends on what version of the team shows up. So Gators 35, South Carolina 14, we'll call it. We'll see y'all next week. Everybody stay safe. God bless, and go Gators.
The proceeding was sponsored by the law offices of Patrick